The signal that changed everything. The starship Eternal Vigilance drifted silently through the outer reaches of an unexplored solar system. Captain Thoris stood on the observation deck, his crystalline skin refracting the distant sunlight into pale blue patterns across the walls. Behind him, his crew worked efficiently at their stations, monitoring the third planet from the system's yellow star. "Captain," called out Navigator Liss, her melodic voice carrying a note of curiosity. "The preliminary scans are complete. The third planet shows signs of advanced civilization. They have achieved nuclear capability and basic spaceflight. According to Galactic Accord protocols, they qualify for first contact." Thoris nodded slowly. This moment never grew old, no matter how many times he had experienced it. First contact was always significant. The Valthorian Empire had been exploring the galaxy for over 5,000 years, and they had encountered hundreds of sentient species. Each one followed a predictable pattern. Most civilizations were fragmented when first discovered, with multiple nations competing for resources and territory. It usually took centuries after first contact before they unified enough to join the greater galactic community. Communications Officer Wren, "Prepare the standard first contact transmission," Thoris ordered. "Include the mathematical proofs, our coordinates, and the greeting protocols. Transmit on all frequencies they might be monitoring." Wren, a younger Valthorian with amber-tinted skin, worked at his console with practiced efficiency. "Transmission prepared, Captain. Shall I send it now?" "Proceed." The message left the Eternal Vigilance, traveling at light speed toward the blue planet below. It contained everything necessary for a newly discovered civilization to understand they were not alone in the universe. Mathematical sequences that transcended language, star charts showing the Valthorian Empire's territory, images of Valthorian people to show peaceful intent. It was a message that had been refined over millennia. "Message sent, Captain," Wren confirmed. "Based on historical data, we should expect initial detection within 12 to 48 hours. Response time typically ranges from 3 weeks to 6 months, depending on their political structure and technological sophistication." Thoris walked to the viewing port and gazed at Earth. The planet was beautiful, covered in swirling white clouds and vast blue oceans. Land masses showed the distinctive lights of cities and infrastructure. They were young, this species, probably still struggling with the concept of planetary unity. He had seen it countless times before. "Set course for orbital position Gamma 7, Thoris commanded. "We will maintain safe distance and observe. Science team, begin cultural analysis of their broadcasts. I want to understand who these people are before we meet them face to face." The crew acknowledged and set about their tasks. Thoris retired to his quarters, expecting to rest for several rotations before anything significant happened. He had barely removed his formal uniform when the ship's alarm chimed urgently. "Captain to the bridge immediately." Liss's voice carried an edge of disbelief. "We have a situation." Thoris rushed back to the bridge, his heart racing. Had something gone wrong? Was there a malfunction in their systems? When he arrived, the entire bridge crew was staring at their consoles in stunned silence. "Report," Thoris demanded. Wren turned to face him, his crystalline features reflecting confusion and concern. "Captain, we have received a response from the planet. The transmission arrived 4 minutes and 37 seconds after we sent our initial message." The bridge fell silent. 4 minutes. That was impossible. "Check for system errors," Thoris said immediately. "That cannot be correct. No civilization responds that quickly. They would need time to detect the signal, decode it, debate what it means, and formulate a response. That process takes weeks at minimum." "No errors, Captain," Wren replied. "I have checked 3 times. The response is genuine and it is formatted perfectly according to Galactic Accord protocols." "Show me," Thoris commanded. The main viewing screen displayed the message. Thoris read it once, then again, his mind struggling to process what he was seeing. "Greetings to the Valthorian Empire Exploration Fleet. This is the United Earth Authority. Central Command. We acknowledge your transmission and welcome peaceful contact. Your message has been received and analyzed. We appreciate your adherence to Galactic Accord protocols, which we have studied extensively through our deep space observation programs. A diplomatic delegation is being prepared and will arrive at your current position in 26 hours. Please advise if you require any specific accommodations for life support, dietary needs, or docking procedures. We look forward to establishing formal relations." Transmitted by Earth Authority, Department of Interstellar Affairs. Ambassador Richard Chen commanding. The bridge remained silent for a long moment. Finally, Science Officer Kelmar spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Captain, they knew about Galactic Accord protocols before we contacted them. They have been watching us. They have a united Earth authority. That implies complete planetary unification under a single governing body. Thoris felt a chill run through his body. Pull up everything we have on their communications and broadcasts. I want to know how this is possible. The science team worked frantically. Within minutes, they had compiled a disturbing picture. Earth's public transmissions showed a planet that had indeed unified, but not in the way most civilizations did. They had not slowly evolved toward cooperation over centuries. Instead, they had formed their unified authority in the aftermath of something they called the Third Global Conflict, a devastating war that had claimed over 3 billion lives and brought their species to the edge of extinction. Look at this timeline, Kelmar said, projecting data onto the main screen. 200 years ago, they were fighting with chemical explosives and primitive aircraft. 150 years ago, they developed nuclear weapons. 100 years ago, they fought a war that nearly destroyed their entire civilization. And then instead of fragmenting further, they unified. They created the United Earth Authority specifically to prevent another global war and to prepare for eventual contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. They were preparing for us? Liz asked in disbelief. Not specifically for us, Kelmar replied, but they have been preparing for first contact for over a century. Look at their orbital infrastructure. They have defense satellites, early warning systems, and armed space stations positioned throughout their solar system. They have colonies on their moon and the fourth planet. They have deep space monitoring arrays that detected us the moment we entered their system. Thoris felt his confidence wavering. What about their military capabilities? Kelmar hesitated before answering. Captain, their military development is unlike anything in the historical database. Most civilizations demilitarize as they approach spacefaring capability. Humans have done the opposite. They have integrated their military forces under the Earth Authority and maintained constant readiness protocols. Their weapons technology is primitive by our standards, but their tactical doctrine is highly sophisticated. They have thousands of years of continuous warfare experience. Continuous warfare? Thoris repeated. They have been fighting for thousands of years? Yes, Captain. Their history is marked by near-constant conflict. They have documented over 15,000 distinct wars, conflicts, and military engagements in their recorded history. They have studied warfare as a science. They have military academies that teach strategic thinking as a fundamental discipline. They train their leaders in something called game theory, which applies mathematical analysis to conflict resolution. Navigator Liss brought up another display. Captain, look at their response time analysis. They detected our message within seconds. They decoded it in under 2 minutes. Their response was transmitted in less than 5 minutes total. That means they have pre-prepared first contact protocols. They have people trained and ready specifically for this scenario. They were waiting for us. The implications were staggering. Thoris had contacted dozens of new civilizations throughout his career, and every single one had been surprised, confused, and disorganized when first contact occurred. But these humans had been ready. They had been watching the stars, preparing, planning for the day when someone would arrive. What kind of species does that? Ren asked quietly. What kind of civilization maintains military readiness while reaching for the stars? A careful one, Thoris replied. Or a paranoid one. Perhaps both. Captain, there is something else, Kelmar said. Their diplomatic message mentioned Ambassador Chen. I cross-referenced the name in their public databases. Richard Chen is a former military commander who fought in several conflicts before transitioning to diplomatic service. He has written extensively on first contact scenarios and interstellar relations theory. The humans did not send us a career diplomat. They sent us a soldier who learned diplomacy. Thoris sat down in his command chair, his mind racing through the implications. Every standard protocol assumed that newly contacted civilizations would be unprepared, overwhelmed, and need guidance. But these humans were none of those things. They had been studying the galaxy. They had been preparing. They had unified their entire planet not for peace but for readiness. What do we do, Captain? Liss asked. It was a good question. Protocol said to proceed with diplomatic contact, but protocol also assumed certain conditions that clearly did not apply here. Thoris made his decision. We proceed as planned, but with modifications. Ren, send a response acknowledging their message. Confirm that we will await their delegation, but also send an encrypted transmission to Valthorian High Command. Include all data we have gathered on human civilization, military capability, and technological development. Command needs to know what we have found here. Yes, Captain. Kelmar, I want continuous monitoring of their military assets. If they make any aggressive moves, I want to know immediately. Please position the fleet in a defensive formation, but make it appear casual. I do not want to provoke them, but I also will not leave us vulnerable. The crew worked quickly to implement his orders. Thoris watched the blue planet on the viewing screen and wondered what kind of species humanity truly was. Were they peaceful explorers who had learned hard lessons from their violent past? Or were they something more dangerous? Predators who had unified not out of wisdom but out of calculated strategy. In 26 hours, he would meet Ambassador Chen face to face. In 26 hours, he would have his answers. But something told Thoris that those answers would not bring him comfort. Humans had done something remarkable. They had looked at the vast unknown universe and decided that the best response was not wonder alone, but preparation. They had turned their capacity for violence into organized readiness. They had militarized their approach to the cosmos itself, and now they were coming to meet him, prepared, unified, and ready for whatever first contact might bring. Thoris had spent his entire career believing that the Valthorian Empire was ready for any first contact scenario. But as he watched Earth slowly rotating below, he realized that perhaps for the first time in 5,000 years, the Valthorian Empire was the one that was unprepared. The humans were coming, and they were not like any species the galaxy had encountered before. Respect. Through understanding, the Valthorian High Council chamber floated in the neutral zone between three star systems, a testament to millennia of peaceful cooperation. The chamber was vast, with crystalline walls that reflected the light of distant stars. Around the circular table sat representatives from the 17 core worlds of the Valthorian Empire, along with ambassadors from 43 allied civilizations. Every seat was filled. The discovery of Earth had sent ripples through the entire galactic community. High Chancellor Vornis stood at the center podium, her ancient crystalline form glowing with wisdom accumulated over 8 centuries of life. She had presided over hundreds of first contact situations, but never had she seen her council so divided and concerned. Captain Thoris has submitted his complete report on the human civilization, Vornis announced, her voice carrying through the chamber with crystal clarity. We have all reviewed the data. The question before us now is simple. How do we proceed with Earth's application for membership in the galactic community? Ambassador Telron of the Peaceful Accord spoke first. His species had evolved on a paradise world with no predators and abundant resources. The very concept of organized violence was foreign to them. High Chancellor, I must voice serious concerns about accepting humanity at this time. Their entire civilization is built upon a foundation of conflict. They have fought over 15,000 documented wars. They have weapons capable of destroying their own planet multiple times over. They have not evolved beyond violence. They have merely redirected it. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Many species shared Telron's concerns. Military Coordinator Dravek stood next. Her species, the Korthan, were one of the few warrior races in the galactic community, though even they had abandoned large-scale warfare 3,000 years ago. Ambassador Telron raises valid points, but I see something different in the human profile. Yes, they are warriors, but they are also survivors. They faced extinction and chose unity over destruction. That shows remarkable growth. We should not punish them for their history when they are clearly trying to move forward. Move forward? Telron countered. They have armed space stations throughout their solar system. They maintain a unified military force under constant readiness protocols. They detected Captain Thoris's fleet the moment it entered their system and had a response prepared in minutes. These are not the actions of a peaceful species. These are the actions of a civilization preparing for war. Science Magistrate Kelvin accessed the shared data displays. If I may offer perspective, the human development pattern is unprecedented but not incomprehensible. They evolved on what they classify as a Class 7 death world. Their planet experiences regular catastrophic weather events, tectonic shifts, and has a history of mass extinction cycles. They evolved alongside apex predators that hunted them, Every aspect of their environment taught them that survival requires constant vigilance and preparation. That is precisely what concerns us, another ambassador interjected. They have brought their survival instincts into space. They view the universe through the lens of potential threat. Chancellor Vornis raised her hand for silence. Captain Thoris, you have spent more time observing humanity than anyone in this chamber. What is your assessment? Thoris stood, feeling the weight of every eye upon him. Honored Council, I have made first contact with 37 civilizations during my career. Humanity is unlike any of them. They are not aggressive, but they are assertive. They do not seek conflict, but they are ready for it. During my time observing their world, I studied their culture, their art, their literature. They are not monsters. They are people who have known great suffering and have chosen to learn from it rather than repeat it. He activated a holographic display showing human achievements. Look at what they have built in just 100 years of peace. Medical technology that has doubled their lifespan. Educational systems that reach every child on their planet. Art and music that rivals anything in the galaxy. They have eliminated poverty in most regions and are working to eliminate it everywhere. They explore their oceans, study their ecosystems, and protect endangered species. These are not the actions of a purely militaristic society. But they maintain military readiness, Telrin pressed. Why? Because they have learned a hard lesson. Thoris replied quietly. They learned that peace is not the absence of conflict. Peace is the result of being strong enough that others choose not to attack you. They call it peace through strength, and it has kept their world unified and safe for over a century. The debate continued for hours. Some argued for immediate acceptance, others for complete rejection, and still others for a probationary period. Finally, as the council prepared to vote, an urgent message arrived from the border sectors. High Chancellor, a communication officer announced, her voice tight with stress. We have an emergency situation. The Krellix Raiders have launched a major offensive against the Threnody system. 3 colony worlds are under attack. The local defense forces are overwhelmed. The council chamber erupted in concerned voices. The Krellix were a rogue faction that rejected galactic community membership. They survived by raiding peaceful systems, taking resources and slaves before disappearing into the void. They had been a persistent problem for decades, but this was their largest attack in years. How long until our nearest fleet can respond? Fornis demanded. 48 hours at maximum speed, Chancellor. The Threnody colonies will fall long before we arrive. Casualty estimates are in the millions. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. They were about to witness another tragedy, another failure to protect the innocent, and there was nothing they could do. Then a new voice spoke through the communication system. Galactic Council, this is Ambassador Richard Chen of the United Earth Authority. We have been monitoring your emergency transmission. Earth Authority offers immediate assistance. We have ships in position that can reach the Threnody system in 6 hours. Every eye in the chamber turned to the communication console. Chancellor Vornis spoke carefully. Ambassador Chen, Earth is not yet a member of the galactic community. You have no obligation to involve yourself in this crisis. Additionally, your ships are not yet cleared for combat operations in community space. With respect, Chancellor, we did not ask for permission. We are informing you of our intentions. The Krellix are attacking innocent civilians. That is something Earth Authority cannot ignore. Regardless of our membership status, we are moving to intercept. Before anyone could respond, the communication ended. Within seconds, tracking data showed 3 human vessels breaking orbit from Earth's moon and accelerating toward the Threnody system at speeds that shocked the Valthorian sensors. How are they moving so fast? Someone asked in amazement. Kelvin studied the data. They are using high-efficiency fusion drives running at dangerous power levels. Those engines are operating at 130% of recommended capacity. They are risking catastrophic failure to reach the Threnody system faster. They are risking their lives for people they have never met. Dravex observed quietly. The council watched in tense silence as the human ships crossed the vast distance. 6 hours later, they arrived at the Threnody system just as the Krellix Raiders were beginning their assault on the 3rd colony world. The battle that followed was brief and brutal. The human ships, designated as the Washington, the Shanghai, and the Lagos, moved with a precision that suggested extensive combat training. They did not engage the Krellix fleet directly at first. Instead, they positioned themselves between the raiders and the colony world, creating a defensive barrier. Krellix vessels, This is Captain Maria Santos of the Earth Authority ship Washington. You are attacking a civilian population in violation of interstellar law. Withdraw immediately or face defensive countermeasures. The Krellick's response was predictable. They ignored the warning and continued their attack, firing on both the colony and the human ships. What happened next shocked every observer in the Galactic Council chamber. The human ships moved like predators. They used coordinated targeting to disable Krellick's weapon systems with surgical precision. They employed electronic warfare to disrupt raider communications. They used their own ships as shields to protect evacuating civilian transports. And when the Krellicks attempted to flee with captured prisoners, the human ships pursued relentlessly, disabling their engines and recovering every single captive. The entire engagement lasted 17 minutes. When it ended, the Krellick's fleet was crippled, the colony world was safe, and not a single civilian had been killed. 3 human crew members had died protecting the evacuation transports. The council chamber remained silent as they watched the aftermath. Human medical teams were already on the surface, treating wounded Threnody civilians. Human engineers were helping repair damaged infrastructure. Captain Santos sent a brief message to the council. Galactic Council, this is Captain Santos. The Krellick's threat has been neutralized. We have taken their leadership into custody and will transfer them to your jurisdiction. The Threnody colonies are secure. Earth Authority ships are standing by to assist with recovery efforts. Santos out. Chancellor Vornis stood slowly, her ancient form seeming to glow brighter in the chamber's light. The human ships displayed combat effectiveness far beyond what we anticipated. They risked their lives for strangers. They used minimal force necessary to achieve their objectives, and they showed mercy to their defeated enemies. She paused, looking around the chamber. I have seen enough. I call for an immediate vote on Earth's membership application. Ambassador Telron stood, but this time his voice was different, less certain. Chancellor, I must acknowledge what we have witnessed. The humans demonstrated not just military capability, but restraint and honor. They could have destroyed the Krellick's fleet entirely, but they chose to disable rather than kill. They protected civilians at the cost of their own lives. These are not the actions of a bloodthirsty species. They are warriors, Dravek said, her voice carrying respect. But they are warriors who fight for the right reasons. They fight to protect, not to conquer. The galaxy needs more civilizations like that, not fewer. The vote was called. One by one, each representative cast their decision. When the count was complete, the result was clear. 48 in favor of full membership, 3 opposed, 9 abstaining. Earth had been accepted into the galactic community with full rights and privileges. Chancellor Vornis opened a direct channel to Earth. Ambassador Chen, the Galactic Council has voted. The United Earth Authority is hereby granted full membership in the galactic community. We welcome humanity as equals and allies. On the screen, Ambassador Chen appeared. He was older than Thoris had expected, with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. He wore a simple uniform with no excessive decoration. When he smiled, it was genuine but tempered with understanding. Thank you, Chancellor. Earth is honored to accept membership. We look forward to learning from the galaxy's older civilizations and contributing what we can to the common good. You have already contributed greatly, Vornis replied. You saved millions of lives today. You demonstrated that humanity understands the responsibility that comes with power. That is why we have accepted you. Chen nodded slowly. Chancellor, if I may speak freely, I want to address the concerns I know many species have about humanity. Yes, we come from a violent past. Yes, we maintain military readiness. But we do these things not because we love war, but because we love peace enough to protect it. We learned through terrible cost that peace is fragile and must be defended. We learned that strength without wisdom leads to destruction, but wisdom without strength leads to victimhood. We seek the balance between the two. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Earth does not ask the galaxy to fear us. We ask for the opportunity to prove that humanity can be trusted. We will make mistakes. We are still young and learning, but we will always strive to do what is right, to protect the innocent and to stand against those who would harm others. This is our pledge to the galactic community. Chancellor Vornis felt something she had not experienced in centuries. Hope. Hope that perhaps this young, fierce species would bring something new to the galaxy. Not just military strength, but moral courage. Not just advanced technology, but the wisdom of hard-earned lessons. Your pledge is accepted, Ambassador Chen. Welcome to the community of worlds. May your people find peace among the stars. As the transmission ended, Thoris stood in the council chamber and looked at the other representatives. He saw it in their faces, the shift from fear to respect. The humans had not demanded respect. They had not threatened or postured or boasted. They had simply acted with honor when action was needed, and that had earned them something far more valuable than fear. They had earned trust. Captain Thoris thought back to his first observation of Earth, when he had worried about what kind of species humanity might be. Now he knew. They were survivors who had become protectors. They were warriors who had learned wisdom. They were a young species with old souls, shaped by suffering into something remarkable. The galaxy had gained a powerful new ally. And the humans had gained something they had sought for over a century, a place among the stars, not as conquerors or supplicants, but as equals. The blue planet called Earth continued its rotation, and across its surface billions of humans looked up at the stars with new wonder. They were no longer alone. They were part of something greater. And the universe, vast and ancient and full of mysteries, had room for one more species ready to explore its endless possibilities. In the end, respect was not demanded or given freely. It was earned through actions that spoke louder than words. And humanity had spoken clearly.